Don't open the door. It all started on a quiet autumn night. 10-year-old Alex lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for sleep to take him. The house was silent, except for the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards and the whisper of the wind outside. His parents had gone to bed hours ago, leaving him alone with the dim glow of his nightlight. Then it came. The knock. 3 soft raps against his bedroom door. Alex sat up, his heart hammering in his chest. "Mom? Dad?" he called out. No answer. He pulled his covers up to his chin, his eyes fixed on the door. The hallway light, which his parents always left on for him, was still glowing beneath the doorframe. Slowly, he slid out of bed and tiptoed to the door, pressing his ear against it. Silence. Swallowing his fear, he unlocked the door and peeked into the hallway. It was empty. The shadows stretched along the corridor, shifting eerily as the wind rustled the trees outside. He checked his parents' bedroom. Both were fast asleep. Confused, he returned to bed, convincing himself it had been his imagination. But the next night, it happened again. 3 knocks. Same pattern, same silence afterward. This time he didn't open the door. He stayed in bed, gripping his blanket tightly, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might wake his parents. The knocking stopped after a few minutes, but Alex barely slept that night. By the 4th night, the knocking changed. It wasn't just 3 knocks anymore, it was rhythmic, insistent, almost like someone was tapping a message. It sent chills down his spine. That night, he recorded it on his phone. When he played it back the next morning, he noticed something strange. After the knocking, there was a faint whisper. "Let me in." Alex's stomach twisted. He ran to his parents, showing them the recording. They dismissed it as interference or the house settling. "You've been watching too many scary movies," his father said, ruffling his hair. "There's nothing there, buddy." But Alex knew what he had heard. The following night, he placed his phone on the dresser, recording again. This time, he didn't hide under the covers. He sat up, facing the door, his heart pounding. When the knocks came, he held his breath. Then the doorknob twisted. Alex froze. The door didn't open, but the knob shook violently, as if someone or something was trying to force it open. Terrified, he grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight, shining it at the door. The shaking stopped immediately. He felt an unnatural stillness in the air, like the house was holding its breath. When he played back the recording, he heard something that made his blood run cold. A low, raspy voice whispering, "Why won't you open the door?" Alex didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, he refused to stay in his room alone. His parents, though concerned, still weren't convinced. "If it makes you feel better, we'll check the house tonight," his mom said. His dad even placed a chair against Alex's door to make him feel safer. That night, the knocking didn't come. Instead, the whispers did. "Alex, let me in. I know you hear me." He clamped his hands over his ears, tears streaming down his face. The whispers weren't coming from the door anymore. They were inside his room. In the morning, he found scratches on the inside of his bedroom door. The situation escalated quickly. His parents finally took him seriously when they saw the scratches. They called a locksmith to change the locks and even had a priest bless the house. For a week, things were quiet. Alex began to relax, thinking it was over, until the night he woke up to find his door wide open. He had locked it. He was sure of it. The hallway was pitch dark. His parents had turned off the light. He reached for his phone, but it was missing from his nightstand. That's when he heard it. Breathing. Slow, heavy breathing right next to his bed. His body went rigid. He couldn't move. He couldn't scream. The air was ice cold, and he could feel someone standing beside him. A low whisper reached his ear. "I don't need you to open the door anymore." The next morning, his parents found him curled up in the corner of his room, shaking. They moved out of the house that week. But even in the new house, at night, Alex sometimes hears it. 3 soft knocks. Alex tried to convince himself it was all in his head, that it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. But deep down, he knew better. The knocks had followed him. In their new house, his parents assured him there was nothing to fear. "It's a fresh start," his mum said with a warm smile. "No more scary noises, no more strange whispers." But Alex wasn't so sure. The first few nights were peaceful, No knocks, no whispers, just the quiet hum of the new house settling. But on the fifth night, as he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, it happened again. 3 knocks. His breath hitched. He turned toward his bedroom door, dreading what he might see. But this time the sound wasn't coming from there. It was coming from his closet. His entire body froze. The air in the room grew heavy, pressing against his chest like an invisible weight. The closet door stood slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness stretching into his room. He hadn't left it open, he was sure of it. Then the whisper came, softer than before but unmistakable. "I found you." Alex bolted from his bed, racing to his parents' room. His mother woke with a start, pulling him into her arms as he trembled. "It's here," he sobbed. "It followed me." His father searched the room, flinging the closet door open, shining a flashlight inside. Nothing. Just shelves lined with neatly folded clothes, a few toys, and some empty hangers swaying slightly. "Alex, there's nothing here, son," his dad sighed, rubbing his temple. "You've been through a lot. Maybe we should see someone about this." Alex knew they didn't believe him. But he also knew the truth. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat curled up in his blankets, staring at the closet, waiting, listening. The next morning, when his parents came to wake him for breakfast, they found him pale and shaken, gripping his blankets so tightly his knuckles had turned white, and on the inside of the closet door, fresh scratches marred the wood. This wasn't over. That night, Alex made a plan. He placed his phone on his desk, recording once again. He set up a small mirror facing the closet, just like he had seen in ghost hunting shows. He even kept a flashlight clutched tightly in his hand. The house went silent. Then, at exactly 3:33 a.m., the knocking returned, but this time it was frantic, desperate. Bang, bang, bang. The closet door trembled. The air grew thick, suffocating. Alex could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. Then, ever so slowly, the door creaked open. The darkness inside was deeper than it should have been, swallowing the faint light from his nightstand. And then, from the depths of the shadows, a pale skeletal hand emerged, curling around the edge of the doorframe. Alex couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. The whisper came again, raspy and eager. "You can't run forever." The next thing Alex knew, his mother was shaking him awake, her face full of concern. Sunlight streamed through the window. His phone was still on the desk, recording. With shaking fingers, he played back the audio. At first, only silence, then the knocking, then the whisper, and then a low, guttural chuckle. Alex shut off the recording and stared at his closet. He knew now, this thing, whatever it was, wasn't tied to the house. It was tied to him. And it wasn't going to stop until he let it in.